We're here and we do it for the fan. Welcome everybody to All Time Greats ATG show. We got Green over there. We got Nate. We got Russ, me, John, and looking forward to another good show. Glad we're back in front of the camera and we're adding Green to the fold. Adds a whole lot of something that I can't say on camera while I'm being recorded. But he adds just a real lot of it.
I'll say it.
Just like a lot of it, like a real lot. I cannot oversell the amount of it that he adds to the proceedings. And today we're going to be talking right off the jump about something that is news today, which is the injury to Cam Akers, running back for the LA Rams, which is has hit home for a few of us in particular, but in the context of the All-Time Greats League, it hits Russ the hardest. And so maybe we'll let him talk first. Maybe he has a whole monologue prepared to be able to vent it, maybe cathartic. We're going to talk about the ramifications of that on a number of levels. And so after that, we will be doing our top 5 list of the most talented wide receivers in the game today, period, completely separate from fantasy, just the very best. And then we'll be following that up with a really interesting discussion about if we were to start our actual NFL team, what players would you want that are below and above the age of 25? 2 players, and then another similar activity with the fantasy aspect. And we will finish it with concluding our top 5 in terms of just talent list, and that'll be with the running backs. So let's jump right into Cam Akers. He got hurt. He tore his Achilles. He's done. Everybody was expecting him to be a stud all year long and for his whole career long, and now that's in jeopardy. What do you guys think?
First of all, I would like to say, Russ, I am so sorry that you lost a running back for the year.
Yeah,
it hurts me, and my heart really goes out to you, you sucker. I'm not sorry at all.
Yeah, John, you said it kicks a few of us right in the nads, And I know I was telling Nate this morning, we already connected on this. He was more than happy to come in and talk about this horrific news. And we all have our sob stories, but I'm a little sick of losing running backs for the year every year.
I have some for you. I have some if you want to trade.
Well, I just want to say this. I just want to say right off the bat for those of you who are listening, Cam Akers is going to be fine. He's just going to have less wear on the tire. I think he's going to have a full recovery.
Medical he had a blown tire. He blew his tire.
His tire's blown.
And if you're interested in trading for him, hit me up.
I've got a bent rim like
work
this
out
right
a deal. Yeah, this is devastating.
Probably all of us have him in a league somewhere. I know I do. And I mean, when I saw the headlines, I was like, yeah, I get to stick it to Russ. I was like, oh, crap, but I have him in another league. But still, I still enjoy sticking it to you for
another league that you're in with us. Yeah.
But with both you and Green. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, it isn't just a given, though, that Cam Akers comes back and is just going to be the stud that everybody expected him to be when he comes back from this injury, though. I really feel that way, and it's not just because I want to stick it to you, Russ, but here's a guy who everybody was really high on coming into this year, but we had to wait for him all his rookie season. And why did we have to wait for him? Because he was banged up. And that was the one question mark that not very many people seemed willing to bring up with Cam Akers heading into this year when everybody was drafting him really high. And that was, do we know for sure that Cam Akers is going to be the guy all year long? Because is he going to stay healthy if he's given a workhorse's workload, or are they going to balance it and do running back by committee with Darrell Henderson? And if he is just the guy as everybody anticipates, will he be able to hold up? Because he hadn't proved that yet. And then before he even gets a chance to, he hurts himself for the whole year training. So what do you guys think his outlook, just Cam Akers, what do you think his outlook is going forward?
Who was the last running back to blow their Achilles?
Mac. On the Mac. Yeah. And look at him. Now he's in a backup role. The one thing that Cam Akers has going for him is his age, though. When it comes to running backs, I think he's one of the youngest in the league, and that's probably including the rookies this year. Those young guys, I mean, they heal quick. And this injury would be a lot different if he was over 25. But I believe he's about 22 years old. And he could bounce back from it. This ain't the Achilles isn't the same thing as it was 20 years ago in the NFL when you were just done as a running back. I was listening to Stephania Bell today, and she seems to think he has a good chance of coming back with the right surgeons involved.
Green, you were going to say something?
No.
Delightful.
I mean, I think he's got a workhorse back, and I think, but it is a true year. He's going to be done a true year, not like ACL where it's 6 to 8 months. Achilles is definitely a year or more, and you're not your true self for a year beyond that. So.
Well, and Russ, before we have you speak to it, I want to throw out a consideration because you've been quite the snake oil salesman lately. So I know we're going to get an interesting spin from you. But let me ask you guys, all of you guys, this. Consider the situation. Consider the situation. We had Darrell Henderson, who was a second-round pick. He had a disappointing rookie season, and immediately they drafted a second-round pick in Cam Akers and decided that Darrell Henderson wasn't going to be the every down back. It was going to be at minimum a running back by committee after they had years of being a running back just horse from Todd Gurley. And here we have what could be seen as a similar situation. We had a year where they weren't able to rely on their second round pick, Cam Akers, the entire year long. They were coming in. All bets were that they were going to rely on him. Then he has a severe injury that even if he comes back completely the same player, are they going to be willing to give him the entire workload as soon as he comes back, or even ever? Or will they have drafted another player by then?
Darrell's like 5'2". Okay, let's get that out right there. Darrell Henderson is not big enough to hold up against a full workload. He's a little dude.
Well, we're going to talk about Darrell Henderson and his outlook going forward, but I'm talking about just Cam Akers and that consideration. Will the Rams ever be willing to give him the full workload again?
No, I don't believe so. It'll always be a committee now. Where before this, he might have ran away with that lead job.
Russ, what do you think about that?
Well, I'm not going to be as definitive as Nate. I think the odds of him having that backfield to himself have significantly decreased as of today. They're going to have to manage the injury when he comes back. They're going to have to, just like, kind of like I was worried about Saquon Barkley, to be honest, right? They're
a little worried too about him.
Yeah. So they were going to have to figure out what percentage of carries both Akers and Henderson were going to get. You have to assume that Henderson's going to get more work now, and he has a great opportunity to stake a claim for that, for the lead role. You have to be worried. That's why that's so upsetting. I mean, for him as a young athlete, of course, it's upsetting, but his whole outlook, his foreseeable future has been rocked by this injury, and Achilles are worse than many other injuries. And I hope Nate's right. I haven't listened to Stephania. I know medicine is improving, and he is definitely young, and he's an elite athlete. All the things we're saying about Barkley, but man, it's hard to see him ever reaching the point that he had just crescendoed to this draft season. I don't know that he'll ever get there again.
Yeah, separate and apart from the fact that it's just a bummer for him as a person. It took a lot to acquire, to your point. It took a lot to acquire Cam Akers. I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who sold the farm to get their hands on the next long-term stud running back, and that may never be the case for him if what we're saying comes to pass. So it was alluded to that Darrell Henderson, even going forward, is going to get a bigger piece of the pie. But what about this? So obviously, even Darrell Henderson's long-term outlook isn't as rosy as it might be, because we're looking at maybe a split forever unless some real shakeup happens there. But what about this year? Green, what do you think about Darrell Henderson's outlook fantasy-wise for this 2021 season?
I think if the Rams' offensive line can produce somewhat averagely, he'll be okay. He'll be a marginal RB2. He catches.
You think
the ball
RB2?
well, so yeah, I would say a good RB2.
You say,
and going back to the Cam Akers thing, I'm the king of trades, and I've already offered a trade to Russ for Cam Akers.
Very nice. Very nice.
Love it. The intrigue, the drama.
I like it. Nate, what do you, I know you're a little down on Darrell Henderson. There will be many who rush to try to trade for Darrell Henderson, but you're not on that team, huh, Nate?
I think the way it sits now, he's going to be a mid-range RB3. I don't see him beating out guys like Josh Jacobs or anyone in that range. Miles Sanders. I mean, these are all guys that I would take before him in a draft. I think that this is going to boost the rest of the offense, though, from a fantasy perspective. The wide receiver, quarterback, and stuff like that. They might really rely on old Stafford there to really sling it this year, which would be awesome.
Interesting. Russ.
What was the question? I was looking up the trade offer from Green.
Darrell Henderson, and also I'd love a response to what Nate just said about how, which I agree with, I hadn't thought of, about with Cam Akers out, they may have to lean on the passing game a little bit more.
Oh, I think Nate's 100% correct. I think they're gonna look for some semblance of balance, but they had two capable backs that I think that they were going to leverage, and as of right now, they no longer have that. But you have proven entities in Stafford. You have proven entities in Wood, proven entities, I keep saying that wrong, in Cooper Kupp. They've still got, who do they have at tight end? Higbee, not Everett, because he's in Seattle now. So, yeah, it makes sense that they're going to have to redistribute the touches and the production. And I don't know why you wouldn't rely on those proven elements.
And I'm curious what you think about this, Russ, since we heard what Green and Nate think about him specifically. I seem to be the highest on Darrell Henderson for this year, because I feel like if we are smashing Cam Akers stock, I feel like that offense is, if it's as good as it looks like it's going to be, it could absolutely propel Darrell Henderson to be a stud this year, borderline running back one.
Of course you feel that way.
I'm honestly not the. I'm honestly not.
Trade Darrell Henderson because he's going to do so well, and you're in the middle of a tank job.
I absolutely, if the value is there, I will absolutely deal Darrell Henderson. But I think there aren't very many people they could bring in that would make him all of a sudden not be the best running back on the roster. And if he is the best running back on the roster, he could be borderline RB1, mid RB2.
Now, I don't think that the Rams have very much cap. I could be wrong on that, but if I remember right, the Rams don't have a lot of capital to give up and trade. But there's RBs out there that they can make a play for. They're in win now mode. They got a great defense. They got a great offense. Now they're really just missing a good running back. So I don't know. Here's another thing right now. How many, before today, how many yards Stafford's projected for in that offense?
How many?
5,000.
That's impressive.
That which seems way astronomical to me, but where do you put the over and under on that now?
I'd say over, especially with it being a 17-week season now, and you have swayed me. I mean, I think that there were a lot of people who thought this was going to be a pass-heavy offense in the first place, and I wasn't certain because it's a really good defense, and they could do what they did in the playoffs and run it a lot with Cam Akers. But now it seems unlikely that they'll be able to do that. What do you guys think? Over under 5,000 yards for Matt Stafford?
Way over.
Way over. All right.
I'm going to go under just because I think that's the safer answer. And I'm going to answer your question about, I'm closer to you, John, on Henderson. I think he's a dark horse RB1 candidate. Opportunity is king. And in an offense like that, if he's going to get the volume, I don't think there's any running back on the free agent market that's going to come in and be a difference maker. And so I think that Darrell Henderson gets the lion's share of the work. And in that kind of offense, I mean, we saw Mike Davis produce last year at a near RB1 rate, right?
Absolutely.
I think Darrell Henderson is probably better than Mike Davis. I think it's a better offense in LA than it is in Carolina. So I think you're underselling the potential for Darrell Henderson.
Yeah, and I think if Malcolm Brown hadn't gone to Miami, we may have seen them respond with a RBBC. But that was honestly my first reaction. We saw Darrell Henderson actually be the guy last year when Cam Akers, when we were waiting for him to finally get healthy, and he had splashes where he was looking really good. So I don't. Barring health of his own with Darrell Henderson, I don't see him not being their RB1, whatever that ends up looking like. And I think that could be really special for him.
So you guys would take Darrell over Davis?
Mike Davis?
This year?
At this point, I would. Yes, I would.
I would, not even close. I would take Davis any day.
Why?
Because he's a good running back. I know you guys bashed him on our last episode.
A better offensive line too.
Yeah, that too. But I think he's a much better running back.
What do you think? Russ?
I should have said in the last episode, Davis has never got the opportunity. He's always got screwed out of the opportunity. Every team he's gone to.
Well, that's because he's not that good.
Right. I advocated for Mike Davis in the last episode for what it's worth.
You did.
But I'm really struggling to answer your question, Nate. I'm definitely, like, you emphatically are team Mike Davis over Henderson. I'm
not over him. I'm not team Mike Davis at all.
I know. I'm struggling with that answer though, because, well, we don't know what Arthur Smith's going to do in Atlanta, right? They have a new offensive coordinator, but so it's hard to say. Typically, right, they're a very pass heavy offense.
Yeah.
That's tough. I'm having a hard time deciding between the two.
The only thing I will speak to, the size thing that you mentioned, Nate, is he's 200. Darrell Henderson is 210 pounds. He's really not that small as far as thickness. Say again?
I have him at 208 in my notes.
Sure. 208, 210. But he's a good sized running back, having watched him play. He's not a whole lot smaller in how he plays than Cam Akers, although Cam Akers is small,
Size
bigger.
doesn't matter. Just look at Darren Sproles.
Size doesn't matter. The Ryan Green story.
Wow.
I
was curious how you were gonna present.
I thought this was a kid-friendly show. What the heck?
When we go a certain amount of minutes in, I feel comfortable.
Right.
What's it called? The other thing was, you guys mentioned the free agent pickups. It sounds like, Nate, you seem to see it as a little bit more likely that they're going to pick up a guy of impact. But Green,
go for it. Somebody, they need a warm body. That's all I'm saying. So somebody will end up on that team. I've seen reports today that they're going to run with their current running back group. I don't buy that for a second.
There's nobody even good on their team besides Darrell.
Exactly. They need some kind of they need someone behind him, and whether it's maybe not Todd Gurley, of course, but whether it's Bell or one of the other guys, I mean, they're going to have to bring someone in. You would figure.
I think Le'Veon Bell would be a good signing for him.
I don't think Le'Veon Bell would be a good signing for anybody, but it's a good possibility.
I could see Le'Veon Bell, but not as
motivated Le'Veon Bell, who was pissed at Andy Reid.
But not as the guy, but like as depth. Bring him in as depth,
like Adrian Peterson was last year for the Lions.
I can see AP being depth
and actually doing well.
Most definitely.
Going to the Rams.
You like Adrian Peterson over Le'Veon Bell there, Nate? Because I think I agree.
Oh, yeah, I like Peterson over Bell.
Russ, do you have anything you want to add to this discussion before we break into our top 5 wide receiver talent, completely independent from situation?
No, because the free agent running backs are not worth discussing. They're garbage.
That's fair. Darrell Henderson season.
Like your team.
All righty. So we're on to our top 5. Last time we were in front of the camera, we did our top 5 tight ends. And we did our top 5 quarterbacks, exclusive of, completely independent of situation and fantasy outlook, just who's the best at their position. And so right now we're going to do wide receivers, and a little bit later on to end the show, we'll do running backs. And I do think that it is interesting when you do it independent from fantasy, because you kind of divorce yourself a little bit from the mindset of looking for opportunity and all this volume and all these targets. Who's the best? Who is the best? So let's start with Green. What are your top 5 wide receivers just based on talent in the NFL?
Based on talent, it's very hard with receivers. It's so deep. You got guys that are older that are phenomenal. You got guys that are younger that are going to be phenomenal if they're not already phenomenal. I went with Nuke as my number 1. Just a guy I would start any team with. He's, got speed, he's got size, he can move his body in the air. Second would be DK Metcalf, big size, speed, just kind of throw the ball up to him, he's going to get it, which is a trait that most receivers should have nowadays. Then you got Tyreek Hill, a little smaller. I went 2 big guys to begin with, and we went Tyreek. And Stephon Diggs would be number 4. And then I had a tough time with number 5. I have a 5A and 5B. Is that allowable in this podcast? Or?
Absolutely.
This is your first podcast with us. We'll let that fly.
Okay. My 5A and 5B would be 5A is Julio Jones and 5B is Mike Evans.
Nice. I dig it. That's a strong one. Like, we share some similarities there. Nate or Russ, which one of you guys would like to go?
Go ahead, Russ.
All right. Well, like Green, I feel like receiver is particularly hard to narrow it down to 5. So I have Tyreek Hill. I know that he gets a lot of credit. Obviously, he's working with Mahomes and a fantastic offense, but nobody can deny his speed, route running, athleticism, and performance. So Tyreek Hill is in the top 5. The order of these 5, I'm really struggling with. I'm not hanging my hat on that so much as a top 5. So Tyreek Hill is in there.
So you're trying to not number them? Is that what I'm hearing
I'm
here?
numbering them. Look, I have a lot of disclaimers on this. A lot of disclaimers on this wide receiver list. I'm numbering them, but I don't have a lot of conviction around them.
Here I was super happy that we had the same. I was super happy we had the same number 1, and then I hear, oh, but these are all kind of. He could be 5.
Number 1, Tyreek Hill. Number 2, it hurts me a little bit, but I'm gonna say AJ Brown. I just think his combination of athleticism and size and route running and production. I mean, I think he's a proven entity. It's hard not to bring some age into it, but he seems like the complete package. Incredibly efficient. So I've got him at number 2. I still have Devontae Adams at number 3. I know he's getting up there in age, but again, size, route running, hands, now in his career as opposed to earlier. Production, I think he's elite, obviously. Diggs at 4. He's always been a terrific route runner. I think he was held down previously by his offense and his target share, et cetera. Obviously benefited from a different dynamic, different setting with Josh Allen last year in Buffalo. But I think we saw from day one he's an elite route runner, elite hands, and now we're seeing that with production and opportunity. And this one may surprise, but I'm going back to Michael Thomas at 5. I think we are overestimating or overrating the impact of one injury-based down year. If we went back a calendar year, we'd be talking about Michael Thomas potentially being number 1 on this list. He's been productive every single year. Again, fantastic route running, fantastic hands. The guy produces. So that's my top 5.
I like it. We got some surprise ones, and Nate was pissed when you brought out Mike Thomas. What do you got for us, Nate?
I can't handle him at number 5 because I got him at number 4. Okay.
Boom.
He's at 4. God, no respect for the man. All those yards and no respect. So number 1, I got Nuke. I'm a big fan of Nuke. We all know that. I think the guy's incredible. I think the guy is going to be good for years to come. It's going to be so much fun watching him progress with his quarterback and his new coach and all that, new team. I think the sky's the limit for him. Could lead the league in receptions, maybe not yards or touchdowns, but could lead the league in receptions this year. Second is Adams. And forgive me, I kind of left the young guys out. Russ, I love it that you put A.J. Brown, but he's not even on my list. Adams, of course.
And not on mine because he's 29 and I just couldn't put a 29-year-old on my list.
So Adams is my second. And we're going to see what happens with Aaron Rodgers and just see if his talent is his, which I believe it is, or if it was more Aaron. So that jury's still out for me on that one. But right now I'm going to put him at number 2. Then you got Tyreek Hill for every reason that you guys said before when you talked about him. I mean, it is a lot of Mahomes there, but when you're fast, you're fast. No one can catch you. No one can catch you. Being fast is a skill. I don't care what anyone says. So Michael Thomas, he's at number 4. I think the guy's a beast. He had one hell of a bad year last year, but look at the year before. I mean, he is getting up there in age now. I don't think he'll ever hit that ceiling that he did 2 years ago, but I wouldn't doubt that it's close, that he gets somewhere close to that. And then number 5, I got to side with Green on this one. I couldn't leave him off the list. Julio Jones. I mean, it'd almost be just disrespectful to leave this guy off this list. I mean, the guy is just a beast out there. He's bigger than everyone else. He plays like it. He's just a man among boys out there just picking on him. And I love how he bullies everyone out there. And he's a great wide receiver, hands down. And I still think he's got a lot of time left too.
Love it. This is fun. These ones are fun because there were some people that I straight feel bad about leaving off. Like I legitimately feel bad about leaving some of these guys off, and because I just appreciate the pass catchers so much. I'm glad you guys brought in Michael Thomas because I felt bad about leaving him off. Nate, I'm glad you brought in Devontae Adams because I felt badly about leaving him off. It was right. I I bumped both of those guys off my list in favor of a guy that nobody included it. And honestly, if we're talking about independent of situation, who you're going to put on a team and he's always going to get open, I think my number 5 is definitely that guy. So my number 1 is Tyreek Hill. And I really wrestled with it. But I disagree about it just being about speed. The guy's got insane burst and power for his size. He's just impossible to get your hands on. He's not just going to run by you. You could be standing right in front of Tyreek Hill and you still won't touch him. It's absolutely insane. And the number 2 is AJ Brown, who I think might be the best. He maybe should be number 1. If we put AJ Brown there as a chief, my goodness, the things he'd be doing, because he's doing such amazing things right now, just on efficiency. AJ Brown is absolutely nuts. Sky's the limit for him if he ever were to get the kind of volume that some of these guys see. Number 3 is Nuke. Nuke is special. Insane that you left him off your list there, Russ, because if you're making a team right now, I mean, throw it up to Nuke out of everybody. And that's insane. Number 4 is Julio Jones. I think Julio Jones, same kind of thing. Right now, he's just impossible to guard. And number 5 is Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen is going to smoke you off the line, no matter who's covering him and no matter who's throwing him the ball. He's going to be open.
Just ask him. He's the best wide receiver out there.
So here's my response to your list. So I had Keenan Allen in my top 5 for a while, and 2 things took him down for me. One is I couldn't get over the age bias, right? There's a certain point where I'm not going to want to bring in an older player and only get a season or 2. If we're talking about all-time list, Julio Jones is on there. But anyways, besides that, the other part with Keenan Allen is just the physicality, right? A lot of these other guys that we talk about, like they can beat you in multiple ways. Keenan Allen is elite route runner, elite separator, elite catcher, but he's not going to give you the same physicality that Devontae Adams and AJ Brown and some of these other guys that we talked about. So that's the reason that he fell out of my list at a certain point.
Why do you think that Keenan Allen just doesn't get the fantasy respect like everyone else does? I know we're talking more NFL talent here, but it just seems he gets looked over a lot by the fantasy community, by fantasy players. I mean,
I think
it's kind of weird.
It is a little bit injuries, huh, Green?
That's the reason why I haven't really targeted him and tried to trade for him or anything like that, is because he just has that injury designation. Like, you don't know if you're going to get a full season, a half a season, a quarter. You just don't know.
It's a little bit the timing of the injuries.
The timing of the injuries, yes. Late in the season, middle, when you're trying to make your playoff run, and he's always banged up, missing a game.
Yeah.
I think I would add to that, yes, injuries. And also I think that he falls in that category of more of a possession receiver. You're not typically seeing him catch 40-yard bombs. You're not typically seeing him getting peppered in the red zone. You're seeing a lot of 7-yard catches, 12-yard catches. Sometimes he has 12 catches in a game, and it's fantastic from a PPR perspective. But maybe none of those 12 catches are highlight reel plays or scoring plays. And so I think that chips away at your fantasy credibility.
Yeah, no, I think that's good. That limits the upside a little bit and the perception there. You want to feel like you're going to have the shot at the wide receiver 1. And even though we feel like he's basically a lock to be a wide receiver 1, maybe that perception of he might not be, even with the addition of the next stud quarterback, he may still not get to the wide receiver 1. So that makes a lot of sense. But it makes it even more impressive that he's not going to run by you on a go route and you still can't cover the man. It's
right.
It's pretty special. Let's jump to our next segment, which is the very unique aspect provided by the fan. We do this for the fan. Great fan question, which is that are we going, if you were to start an NFL team and you had to pick a player who was under 25 years of age and a player who is over 25 years of age, who would your players be? And we'll also do the same thing for if we were going to start a fantasy team as well. Yes, Russ.
Real quick, Nate, what is the name of this segment?
Oh, we'll decide on
Travis Talks.
I forgot what it was.
Travis Topic.
Travis
Yeah,
Topics.
Travis Topics, yeah. For
There you
our
go.
one.
We love you, Travis. We love our fan.
Travis,
We
if
do
we
it for
ever
the-
get away, you'll probably win because you're the only one that watches.
That's right. That's right. With a fan contest. Russ, start us
And
off.
there's a caveat in some of these, right? That you can't have a quarterback on one of them. And
We did
whatever.
decide. We did decide that we're not going to do a quarterback for the fantasy side, but we are going to include quarterbacks for the if you were to start an NFL franchise. So Russ, start us off.
You want franchise or fantasy?
Bring it on. Whatever works.
I'll start with franchise. Over 25. I think we're probably going to see it. Well, first of all, if you're starting a franchise, you got to be looking at quarterback first, right? It's quarterback, defensive end, left tackle are probably the 3 most valuable positions, right? We don't want to talk about defensive ends or left tackles. So we're starting a franchise. We're looking at the quarterback position. So exactly 25 years old. So you're getting as much time as you can from the limitation or the variable that we established. Patrick Mahomes, hands down. That's why I'm picking it for over 25. Under 25, I had to stay at the quarterback position. Who is younger than 25? John's not going to like my answer because I know who his answer will be. I went with Justin Herbert. I'm going to build my franchise around Justin Herbert as the under 25-year-old, not Kyler Murray.
It sounds like you're going to be surprised.
Oh, fantastic. All right, so that's my franchise. On the fantasy, so this was built, this had some strategy influence within it because I know running backs are so valuable, but if I'm starting a fantasy team, I'm actually going to start with receiver because of longevity. So both of my picks are at receiver. So if I'm going 25 or older, I'm choosing Stephon Diggs because he's on the younger end of that spectrum age-wise, and I think he's going to be incredibly productive for the remainder of his career. And so I'm going to go with Stephon Diggs. Under 25, and this is interesting because he didn't make my top 5 receivers list, but I'm going with DK Metcalf. I don't think he's top 5 talent yet because I think he still has refinement of his game to accomplish, whether it be route running, right? Whether primarily route running, even his hands, I think still need to improve a little bit. But I think that he is going to be dynamic. And again, in our league settings of standard scoring, I think few receivers have the touchdown upside that he has. And so for under 25, I'm going with DK Metcalf.
Awesome. Let's go. Let's jump to Nate.
So franchise-wise, I got to go with Patrick Mahomes, and I kind of think a lot of us might have that same answer. Yeah, if I'm getting my pick a quarterback that's over 25, it's going to be Pat. Can't go wrong with that. Under 25, I went with the receiver, and I was thinking young on this one, so I did go with Jefferson. I think that guy is just going to be an elite talent in this league, and the years ahead of him are a little bit more than a lot of other wide receivers that are out right now.
Can I ask you a question on that one?
Yeah.
Because you have both of these players on your fantasy team, and I know we're talking about just franchise. No. I'm talking about both of the people that I'm going to bring up right now. You have Jefferson and you have Jamar Chase, and we saw them on the same team. And when they were on the same team, Jamar Chase appeared to be the better player. So do you think there's a chance that Jamar Chase is just the better below 25 player, period?
Yeah, absolutely. But I haven't seen it yet. I'm not going to sit here and toot the Jamar Chase horn when he hasn't touched the NFL field just yet. I'm just not going to do a rookie for this one. So I'd rather go with someone that I've seen out there. I've seen play NFL football at NFL speeds, and I watched a lot of tape on Jefferson. I'm amazed by the guy. He's going to have a good career.
All kinds of sexy. What you got next?
Now for the fantasy side of it, for over, I took a CMC. He sneaks in at 25 in 2 months, and with CMC, I think that he is going to have a career after being a running back. Also, I think when his body is done being able to carry the workload as a running back, he's going to start lining up in the slot. I think that his career is going to go more kind of less carries, more receiving as he gets older. And I think he's going to pace with these wide receivers that are out there. I mean, the guy is just in top physical condition. I mean, he's the White Hulk. I mean, the dude's just built like a mountain. And for the under, I went AJ Brown. I didn't have him on my top 5 receivers list, but for every reason you guys said before is why I chose him for my under.
Absolutely. Green?
Franchise, if I'm going to start somebody, this was tough, to be honest with you. I'm going to throw a little ode to our brother Dylan Miller, he likes defenses, so I'm going to go on the defensive side on these 2 picks. Under 25, getting after the the quarterback. I chose Nick Bosa. He's just a phenomenal athlete, he's a game changer, and that's what you need on the defensive line. It was tough picking between him and Jair Alexander because he's a shutdown corner, but I chose Nick Bosa. And then for over 25, I had 3 guys that I had to choose from, but I chose Aaron Donald. Just a dude that just is you can try to block him with 3 guys, and he's still going to get to the quarterback. He's just someone that's over 25. You need someone like that to, as you can tell, you have guys that can get to the quarterback. You win a Super Bowl, kind of like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did.
Absolutely.
The other guys in contention were Khalil Mack and Jalen Ramsey.
Love it.
For starting. In fantasy, over 25, I mean, we already talked about, Nate kind of already talked about CMC, just kind of an all-round power rusher, catch the ball out of the backfield, and can do it all running back. You need a workhorse like that to take your pressure off the quarterback, so you can throw anybody back there and he'll feel comfortable with him. And then under 25, already been said, but DK Metcalf.
Interesting that both you and Russ went with DK, and Nate had the correct answer, which is AJ Brown. That is, I mean, I honestly think it is my answer to jump directly to the fantasy side. My answer for below 25 was AJ Brown to start a fantasy, because I mean, AJ Brown or DK Metcalf, I don't know the one thing that DK Metcalf, I love DK Metcalf, but I don't know one thing he has going for him that AJ Brown doesn't have going for him in a bigger way. And he's a more complete player in my mind. And then the above, to toot Nate's horn, both of these are 5 and dime players. The above 25 is going to be Nuke again. I mean, I love the guy. He's insanely good. And Russ alluded to how much I think Kyler Murray is going to take off. Starting a franchise, I said I was going to surprise you, and the surprise is that Green and I on the exact same page. We went defense with it, especially since I believe Pat Mahomes is 25 exactly, so he's neither sub 25 or over 25. He just is 25. but I decided I wanted to go a different route and go a defense with it. So a defensive line, I thought about Nick Bosa. I came real close to going Nick Bosa, so I thought you might choose the same one that I did, Green. I went with Chase Young. Chase Young, just a mammoth and a beast, and they're both from the exact same college. So what made me actually the tiebreak for the 2 of them was just the talent. I think just in individually talented, you can notch it up just a little bit higher for Chase Young, but Nick Bosa could very well have just as good or better of a career. And then my above 25 is a guy who's not going to be mentioned on many of these lists, but I think if we're going to go above 25, we should pretty much just exclude age entirely. And I think if we're doing that, Tyrann Mathieu definitely deserves some love because, man, that guy sets a tone for every defense that he's been on, and just flies around and makes problems for every quarterback. Very Ed Reed-like in the way quarterbacks have to worry about Tyrann Mathieu. So I decided to go and give him a shout out with mine.
So shout out, I understand, but you're saying you would start a franchise with Tyrann Mathieu over?
Yeah, if I'm approaching it the way I decided to, which is that if we're going to go above 25, I'm not even going to figure out how much longer they're going to last. I'm not going to take that under consideration. I'm going to start it with a guy who I know is going to make my defense loads better and be able to be the leader, 100% the leader. And Tyrann Mathieu, I think, deserves discussion in that. And I figured if defenses were to be discussed, we're going to hear more names like Aaron Donald, which I definitely agree with from Green, and Jalen Ramsey. But more of the mental side of things. He's always pointing to his head because he has to get it done on another plane. Does Tyrann Mathieu?
Well, you're right. You surprised me, John.
All right, let's finish this thing off with our top 5 running backs, independent of talent. And Nate, you haven't started us off on any lists yet. So who do you think are the best running backs in football?
Okay, top 5. Now I'm gonna go with number 1 because this is the one man I would not want to tackle ever in my life, and that's Derrick Henry. get out the way. Okay, that man will run you over and make you look silly doing it. I'm not trying to step in front of him like everyone else. I'd be sticking my arm out trying to arm tackle and just let him blow by and blame the guy next to me. It was you that block on that. But yeah, Henry's my first one. CMC is my second overall talent. He's done it with just about every quarterback out there that sucks, and he continues to just put up numbers in an insane amount of volume, and pretty much, and last year being the exception, handles the workload really well. Anyone that's out there getting 96% of the snaps on the football team, he's got to be good. Nick Chubb is my third. I like watching Nick Chubb. He's another one of those just world beater guys. He could juke you. He could run you over. He's good in the passing game. Maybe he's not as much as Hunt is, but that doesn't matter. Nick Chubb is just a phenomenal talent. This guy on number 4, this is where I just really, I felt he had to be on the list. And I don't know if it's right to even put him there, but it's Barkley. You know, I mean, yeah,
it's right.
Talent in the world, but how's his health? You know, I mean, is this guy going to be able to hold up? Now he's talking, he might not be ready for week 1, which I don't buy for 1 minute. He's going to be ready for week 1, but still he's saying that, you know, and so he has to be on the list. But number 5 is actually my favorite running back to just sit in a game and watch, and that's Dalvin Cook. The way that guy runs, the way he is trying to win a game. Josh Jacobs, if you're listening, take some notes on this guy.
Yeah.
But this guy plays to win. He plays to pump up his team. I mean, the guy seems like he's a good leader on the field, and when he's running, it's balls out. I mean, it's the hammer's down. He's going for it, you know, and that's probably why he gets hurt so much, because he doesn't hold back. But as a fan, I appreciate that.
Absolutely. He's fun to watch. He's a lot of fun to watch. And your 4 and 5, you said should Saquon be on the list. Your 4 and 5 is my tippy top of the list. That's what's fun about this. Saquon Barkley is my number 1. Dalvin Cook is my number 2. I said that I think when I texted you guys about this initially, that CMC may not even be in my top 5, but that ended up not being true. He did make it into the top 5, but he's actually not here. It's Derrick Henry, number 3. Number 4 is CMC, and then actually Aaron Jones is my number 5. There's a lot of great ones to choose from, but I think Aaron Jones is right there in the exact same mold as CMC, and could do, I think, everything that CMC is doing if he were on that team. CMC is incredibly talented, but Saquon Barkley is still number 1 because if he is healthy, he's the most talented running back, period, in the NFL. And obviously I understand the if, but that if is there for CMC as well. And there were those who will tell you the if will be there for Derrick Henry, but we won't know it until they get on the field. And I think when they do get on the field, people are going to be reminded just how amazingly special and truly generational Saquon Barkley is with the ball in his hands. Green, what do you have for us? I'm sorry, Nate.
Say about Aaron Jones real quick. That man doesn't get enough respect. A couple years ago, I think there was a story that he came in with a little bit of a gut and stuff, and Aaron Rodgers was making fun of him, trying to pump him up to get in shape. And the guy did. And the guy gets blasted in the media and the fantasy world for not being in shape. But do you know the guy's got his own workout video that you could buy, workout with Aaron Jones?
I didn't know that.
It's out there. It's out there. Just saying. You guys could all be Aaron Jones.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah, and I've heard a few. Watched a couple of cool social pieces on Aaron Jones and some of the things he does out there in the community as well. He's a really cool dude.
Oh, dude.
Green, what do you have for us? Top 5 best running backs in the NFL.
I got Derrick Henry number 1. Points have already been stated. Dalvin Cook number 2. Nick Chubb number 3. I got CMC number 4. And I got a surprising one in number 5. There's a reason why this guy was taken in the first round. Huh?
Go ahead.
He was taken in the top 10 for a reason. He was I think just a season ago was just a dynasty running back dream, and I think if this team had a better offensive line, I think he would run a little bit different, and that'd be Josh Jacobs.
Oh wow! Fight! Nate, get him.
My ears turned off at Josh Jacobs. I reject everything Green just said.
I don't know where he is in relationship to you on the screen, but from here, it looks like you could reach up and grab him. You should get him. Russ?
Okay. Number one, I have Saquon Barkley. I do believe if healthy, he's the most talented. He's dynamic. He can do everything, every phase of the game. Incredible athlete. He's number one. Number two, I have Dalvin Cook. Similarly, he's feels like a complete back and incredibly dynamic. So I've got Dalvin Cook at number two. I've got McCaffrey at number three, only because he's not necessarily going to be a dominant between the tackles runner, but he's so elite at everything else and so productive. I have him at number three. Number four, I have Derrick Henry. And again, I'm biased to the sort of the completeness of the package. We just don't see him in the passing game, which is why I have him at number four, but he's so elite as a runner. And number five, I'm most surprised nobody else mentioned him, is Alvin Kamara. Again, he's just proven to be such a dynamic receiver. He has the ability to be a very effective runner, incredibly productive. So I have Alvin Kamara at five. I love that Nate and Green, John, I don't remember if you did as well, reference Chubb, because I feel like he's one of those guys that this topic is for, because he's not given the amount of touches. He's not given the opportunities in the passing game because he has to share with Kareem Hunt. But if he were given Dalvin Cook, Christian McCaffrey type opportunities, I think this guy would blow it up.
But one thing
I'm glad that he made the list for others.
Said he didn't want that kind of workload.
Did he?
Openly in the media and all that, he said, I am not a workhorse back. Those were his words.
Really? I don't recall that.
He wanted someone to come in there when Hunt did to help take the pressure off of him.
Wow. I mean,
basically, he's a sissy.
I didn't include Chubb on my list, but I felt really bad doing it. And part of it was because I just have never seen him catch the ball a lot. And it was similar to Kamara. Like, I felt really bad.
Long touchdown against the Raiders, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Everyone had a long touchdown against the Raiders. Come on.
And there are a few like of those Derrick Henry type take a screen for a really long way that Chubb has done a few times as well. But I wanted to actually talk to you guys about that because I had a real crisis. I went with Aaron Jones because I felt like if Aaron Jones got the kind of love that we see some of these guys getting, the kind of touches everywhere, that he'd be just as good. But I wasn't sure about that with Chubb, as he might be the best pure runner in football, but I've never seen him actually catch the ball. And then Alvin Kamara, I've never really seen him truly take the lead on the running game. And I worry that he might break down if he were to. And so I'm curious of what you guys' thoughts were on that, like the dilemma I had when I went with Aaron Jones over the two of them.
Well, if you're talking about skill and wondering if a guy has the ability to do something, I get that. I wouldn't hold concerns about potential injury if they were the workhorse. I mean, I don't know how you extrapolate that. I don't know how you predict that. So I don't think I would factor that in. But if you think a guy doesn't have the skill set, then I have no problem with you elevating somebody else.
Nate, you looked like you had a thought on that.
I mean, with Alvin Kamara, he had that a severely blown out knee. I mean, in college, it wasn't just a normal knee injury. It looked horrible if you go back and watch it. And it was one of the reasons that I skipped him on draft day during the rookie draft. It looked horrible. So I wonder how much that kind of factors in them managing him so he lasts long. You know, they could just open the doors up and just let him run, but I don't know if he would hold up. I don't know if he would. I'd hate to see him go down. He's really fun to watch.
Absolutely. Green, you want to have the last word before we say sayonara until the next time?
I'm open for trading.
True Green fashion.
The trade markets are open. Send those trade offers to Green.
Robbie Anderson is on the block.
I'll be reviewing your offer, Green. There's some potential there.
Oh,
yeah. Ooh, yeah. I like it.
Here comes another trade rape, everybody. See you next time.